Arts faculties are in the business of putting history to work to help us thrive and survive in the current critical moment.
Interesting when you think about it. In the Faculty of Arts, there's such a wide range of disciplines and programs, from forensic anthropology to literature and film, from medieval studies to Indigenous studies. But in everything that goes on in the arts faculty, at the heart of it all is a sustained and passionate curiosity about humanity, about how the past shapes the present, how human beings decide what's true and meaningful and what's not.
So anthropology is really the science of humanity. It studies everything from past to present-day human culture and biology. And it helps us to really recognize that in humans, culture and biology are inseparable, and each really influences each other. So understanding where we have been and where we are can help us really know where we're headed as a species. And we can really predict a lot if we take this long view of human history and human culture. So for example, I tell students about how we can study bones using biomechanical and paleopathological methods. We can find out how past people recovered from and responded to things like injuries and other pathologies. And this can help us to improve our understanding then of the human experiences, things like our adaptation and our resilience going forward.
In the Department of English, Languages and Cultures, we start with art. Art that goes out to the world in words and in images, in novels, poems, plays, short stories, cinema, theater, spoken word performances, graphic novels. In a sense, we're the Department of Storytelling. All the world's civilizations are based on the stories they tell themselves, the stories that make sense of our societies, our species, our world. It can be old stories or new stories. It doesn't matter. They're all part of the human story.
In my literature classes, I take a historical look at poetry from the medieval period. As any historian will tell you, the past lives in the present in some exciting and unexpected ways. And we make connections to topics today that are important and significant and vexing and exciting, like the relationship between men and women and how the medieval mindset might have shaped those things, the difference between truth and lies, politics and power, war and peace, Vikings, Game of Thrones, even video games like Zelda. Channel the medieval.
My research is on a new kind of film genre that is everywhere these days, eco-cinema. These are movies that can be romances, comedies, or dramas, or sci-fi, or cult, or western, or horror movies, but that carry an environmental message or ecological insight of some kind that we can find in them if we're looking. Students in the arts are also looking for jobs. The Conference Board of Canada recently put out a groundbreaking report on current job markets. It describes what it calls skill vacancies. When employers can't fill a job position, it's because someone with the required skills is missing from that work opportunity. So in a sense, it's not just a job vacancy, it's a skill vacancy. Arts degrees teach a very high number of skills that are underdeveloped and underrepresented in the workforce. For example, writing.
So you'll want your employees to be able to write clearly, correctly, to deadline, but you'll also want them to be able to write appropriately, with sensitivity to audience and awareness of what needs to get done now in writing and how to do it. We teach that.
So I use my English degree every day in every part of my job. When I graduated, I was actually offered 2 positions. My full title is Chief Executive Officer of my tea company, and we're in Sobeys and Safeways across Alberta, but our tea is carried nationally, and it was actually born out of an Indigenous literatures class.
Indigenous Studies is an academic area that helps students learn about the histories of Indigenous people in Canada and throughout the world. Particularly in my classes, we talk about history prior to the arrival of settler societies, we study the effects of colonialism, and we assess recent efforts towards decolonization.
I use my post-colonial theory in like every aspect of my company.
In my research, I've looked at Métis ways of knowing and understanding the world in the context of honoring the lived experiences of Métis people. At a time when truth and reconciliation is so important, I've compared what people mean by the concept of truth in both settler and Indigenous cultures and how they may differ.
In the arts faculty, all of our different programs are geared towards figuring out what it means to be a human being and options for improving human societies going forward. If that's what arts programs are all about, and if they teach a wide range of transferable skills that play nicely into job futures, maybe this is where you want to be.